renting and living in a rented house has its own hassles. We took all of these problems and curated a solution which is buying a home, and we started with the entire marketing campaign that apna ghar to apna hota hai, customer centric decision making, where we don't get to choose what we want to deliver. We want to ask from them what they need. Earlier the tech was very minimal, the marketing was very generic. Now we've become a more customer focused, targeted marketing.
Hello, this is Saras and welcome to the HT Brand Leadership Series, where we engage with forward-thinking leaders shaping the future of Indian industry. Today, we are joined by Nikhil Aggarwal, Director at Signature Global, a new generation leader who brings together financial discipline, global exposure, and a deep commitment to sustainable development in Indian real estate. A chartered accountant by qualification with an MBA from Hult International Business School and a background in risk advisory. Nikhil is helping steer Signature Global towards growth that is not just strategic but also environmentally conscious, governance-driven, and socially impactful. Welcome to the show, Nikhil.
Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure to have you with us today.
Thank you so much, Saras. Thank you for having me here. Your beautiful, office that we are sitting in, and great, and looking forward to chat with you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. Nikhil, you worked across multiple domains, finance and advisory, and now real estate. How has your journey been professionally and personally so far?
So I think the entire journey has been very radical, very transformative. Working in finance and advisory, we were taught to talk about risk assessments, we were taught to talk about financial metrics, a lot of data and number driven logics and decisions, which has, I think, strengthened my approach to governance, which has strengthened my approach to look at processes and not transactions. Coming to real estate, I was actually stargazed to look at what we are creating. This is not any transaction, this is fulfilling people's aspirations. We are not just delivering a service, we are actually fulfilling life goals. When you go to one of your delivered projects and look at elderly people and kids and children blessing you for what you have delivered and what you have brought into life for them, I think that smile, that happiness on their faces, I think that's what we live for. The real estate in itself is a very complex sector. Traditionally used to be very unstructured, but now working towards more structured, more data-backed decision making. So I think the entire journey, which is as it is going, has been more transformative. The perspectives have changed. The visions have changed from data to actual delivering. This is the entire transformative journey, I think, that.
So taking a cue from what you said,
Right.
Real estate has been evolving and there have been significant shifts in this sector. How do you think this is going to shape up in the next 3 to 4 years? What is your view on this?
I think in the past decade and decades before it, real estate has transformed into a very structured sector, very organized. We are right now sitting at $477 billion of in India of real estate contribution to Indian economy, and by 2030 probably it will touch $1 trillion economy. So the jump in another 5 years will be doubled up, right? What I see from here, there will be a lot of decision making which will be data backed up. A lot of digital automation has to happen. A lot of regulatory checks should be in place, and most importantly, customer-centric decision making, where we don't get to choose what we want to deliver. We want to ask from them what they need. Earlier, there used to be certain projects and developments which were delivered as it is without even thinking what will be the need in the future. But now we are talking about community spaces which are offering amenities to everyone, to all the generations, from elderly access jogging tracks, parks, kids areas, to offering wellness centers, offering gymnasiums. So I think everything for everyone, that is the new approach.
You're a new generation leader in a very traditional industry, and even before this we were talking about how real estate was sold in the earlier times.
Right.
What do you think, you as a new gen leader with a background of finance, risk advisory, talking about sustainability, compliance, what is it that you actually bring to the table, not only for Signature Global as a company, but for the sector, for the real estate sector as a whole?
So what I believe is that the new generation, including me, are very inquisitive in nature. We ask all the whys, and we also have the zeal to ask why not. Coming from the new generation, we have become more agile in our thought processes. The earlier mechanism, or the earlier structure used to be more rigid, more traditional, a lot of it based on speculation and instincts. To that, we have now come up to the scenario where a lot of decisions are data backed up. Earlier, the tech was very minimal, the marketing was very generic. Now we've become a more customer focused, targeted marketing, a lot of tech which is customer friendly, and also giving them a lot of new insights. And also adding on to what you have just mentioned regarding sustainability, there's an increased focus on having livable green homes, and we as a developer think this is our responsibility to the environment and the people who are living in our developments to have spaces which are full of good air, green areas, also having cross ventilation, where the temperature in the apartment or the unit is organically low because you have certain design elements where you don't have to think about running diesel generators because you have a solar plant already set up in your compound, where the connectivity is so accessible that you can think of public transports and save on the pollution that your personal car is causing. So all of these new thought processes, I think, has been enabled by the new generation, where we think of green a lot. Considering the global warming that is happening around us, we think it is important to talk about it today, else we'll all be submerged under the water sometime or later, and we won't have spaces to live what we are building right now. So we won't have a conversation about it today. We are not doing anything for the future generations. So this is my take on the new generation that is coming up, the new thought leaders that are upcoming, which are thinking in a broader perspective of not delivering just a faux concrete, walled space, but also spaces which feels like home. So this is the new change. This is a transformation that is happening.
It's very interesting, Nikhil. Real estate developers and organizers often talk about location,
Right.
Luxury. They talk about size of the apartment. They talk about building roads and access, etc. You're talking about sustainability. You're talking about ventilation. You're talking about greenery. How do you think you're going to reflect this in your brand messages and your brand visibility? Because this is different.
Right.
That's not what normally real estate developers and organizers talk about.
Right. So just to highlight here, Signature Global from the very start has been inclined towards greener development, and that inspired us to create our logo, which is in green and white. Right. We think about responsible investments, we think about responsible growth, and also a collaborative, livable living, community building, so to say. Most of our projects right now are green certified, either IGBC or H by IFC. One of our projects is IGBC Platinum certified, which is so we were North India's first developer in affordable section to have a IGBC Platinum project. Going beyond the labels, label is one thing to talk about. It is more tokenistic, right? We believe that the homes should be actual spaces to live in, which are more livable, which is centralized around people who actually have to live there. Sustainability for us is not just an idea or a tick box in a section, something to brag about. It is more about the concept that we live in day in and day out. We have mechanisms in place wherein there is zero liquid discharge. So we are one of the few developers in a decade-old company to achieve that. We are thinking about having 50% or 40% of the recyclable energy. So all of it comes from the vision of having homes which are more sustainable, greener to live in, rather than just using it as a pitch to sell. So that is the ideological shift from the very start that has happened.
Let me come back to your core competence.
Right.
Regularization and compliance
Right.
are often seen as challenges, but yet we all know that they are not challenges, they are in fact stabilizers. What is your view of how compliance and regularization has come about in the real estate sector?
Good question. I think we people consider regulations and compliance as a mere tick box kind of a activity, but I believe it is kind of a steel frame where the company stands on. How difficult and how hard, tedious it looks like, it is something which is holding up a company. Real estate earlier used to be having a lot of trust deficit with project delays which didn't account anyone, misutilization of funds, buyers not being heard of, significant mismanagement. After RERA coming up in 2017 with new GST provisions and stricter financial norms like Benami Transaction Act, a lot of streamlined activities have happened. Now customers are heard of, they have become more informed. They also want to work and buy property, do investments in a company which is actually compliant. Me personally, who looks after regulatory frameworks, we think a lot about risk management as well. For us, regulations and compliance need to be worked on continuously, periodically, thought of as something which impacts all the stakeholders, either internal or external. We are working towards having very robust, enterprise risk management frameworks, and happy to share that we were rewarded with an ISO 27000 for that particular activity, wherein they believed and recognized us for having a very stringent framework. So compliance, to me personally, what I think, what I've also studied and lived through in my CA days, has been not just looking at the provisions and the checklist and going that this looks okay to me, I will comply to it. No, this is your responsibility to people, to the investors who are investing into it, the stakeholders and the shareholders who, with a lot of trust and credibility, think of you as a responsible leader. So I think that has changed a lot of vision and perspective regarding regulatory and compliance.
ESG has become a theme for many businesses, and I can say that at least in the real estate sector, Signature Global is leading from the front. But how do you integrate all these environmental compliances, and you spoke about sustainability and all that, in your construction processes, while delivering the brand promise, delivering the cost, and delivering to the customer delight. Are these have you ever faced challenges, and how have you overcome them?
So what I believe is, and what I have gone through analyzing the earlier trends. Right? Earlier, any companies, particularly real estate company, used to be based on three metrics. One was profit, sales, and good customers. ESG coming into the picture, a lot of things have changed. We now, are transforming into three broader pillars, which are environment, social, and governance. Where each of the pillar has its equal weightage. Starting from environment, from the very start, we used to use fly ash bricks. When we were into brick mortar kind of construction, we from the very start were thinking about solar panels, solar lighting, having a mechanism which is more sustainable and self-sufficient for water conservation, like rainwater harvesting. When it came to social, we believe that all the stakeholders, when it comes to internal stakeholders like employees or external stakeholders like customers, all have to be given equal importance. We have been initiating activities wherein the customer's engagement can be considered on a pedestal. A lot of CSR activities have been going on. Just to mention that right now we are sitting on 60,000 plus beneficiaries, which have come from three major activities that we have initiated, wherein we talk about menstrual hygiene, we talk about delivering uniforms, stationeries to the underprivileged, we talk about health for the laborers, right, under a few of our initiatives. We also undertook one of the certifications for Great Place to Work, wherein our net promoter score was around 70, which is a good score to look at. We continuously engage with the customers, with our customer delight team, which take care of their surveys, their feedbacks, and we continuously work towards it. When it comes to governance, we always have believed in stringent, robust processes. So rather than a transaction-related activity to a process-related activity, from a person to a process, we have now, worked into e-tendering, wherein there's no person who is involved in the actual transaction process, but everything happens in a virtual format. So I think all of these activities that we are undertaking, the visions that we have, undertaken, has proved time and again that how ESG and how much ESG is important to us. Of course, it comes with a lot of challenges and initial resistance, right? But when the vision is clear, when you set your foot right, I think everything comes in place now or in sometime in future.
So when you talk about sustainability in real estate,
right?
What does progress actually look like? How do you define it? How do you see it?
So I think it can be subjective, so to say. When we compare ourselves to other players in the similar industry, I think that will be a irregular kind of a match, because we are fairly new compared to them, to the one which are established already. I think the right metric to look at is what you are doing today versus what you were doing in the previous years. So this is how we see it also. We also look at having net zero, which is in line with 2070's India's vision to be net zero. So we also align our goals to particular sustainability goals or net zero goals. When it comes to social activities, the social pillar, we believe the more we do is less, right? We have thought about employee-centric decision making, wherein we talk about employee wellness, we talk about their happiness, how much they think about attritions in the organization. So I think all of these things have helped us to carefully and rightfully metric our process and performance, and also compare it to what we were doing last year.
Whether it's energy efficiency, green construction, or long-term community planning, what initiatives are you most excited about?
For me personally, what excites me the most is the electric vehicles now coming up, right? Not particular to our, core competency, but I think a lot of air pollution that has been happening because of petrol and diesel vehicles. We are now in the process of curtailing, or if not curtailing, minimizing those. Having a community living which is centralized towards livable spaces that I mentioned to you. I think greener developments, those are the initiatives and those are the things that excites me the most when you talk about sustainability. We personally have to think what we are giving back to the environment and to the society that we are living in. With all of these initiatives coming up, all of these new visions coming up, I think we'll be able to surpass our vision of being net zero by 2070.
Let's shift the focus from sustainability to actually buying a home now. Pre-COVID, we've always felt that some people felt that renting a home is better than buying one, and this concept has changed post-COVID. At least that's what we believe. In fact, spending patterns of consumers have completely changed post-COVID. Whether it's buying a home, taking a vacation, or maybe buying a luxury car, or buying a car for that matter, any car. What are your views on this? How important it is to buy a home, and when is the right time?
I think growing up also, the three things that I've heard always was roti, kapda, makan. If you have these three things sorted, you're a good person to live on this planet Earth, right? You have achieved what you wanted to achieve. So one of the key things is buying a home, right? Renting and living in a rented house has its own hassles. It can be your landlord pricking you here and there. It can be, not doing certain amendments and changes in your house because you live in a rented space. It can be certain hassles regarding parking, fighting with your landlords or other, lessees, who will park first, who will park where. And most importantly, a lot of security issues that have come up, with places which are majorly, rented. So I think we took all of these, problems and curated a solution which is, buying a home, and we started with the entire marketing campaign that apna ghar to apna hota hai. So this all focused on the very aspect that having your own home comes not just with pride, but also you get away with all these hassles. You are at peace when you come back from work, right? You feel homely when you are at your home. So I think for me as a youngster, to say when to buy a home is I would say that you should buy it ASAP. When your pocket allows. Today. Not today, you should buy it yesterday. So that kind of a, psychology, I think when I sit with other peers, other friends of mine, I think that is the psychology that, if I live in a rented space, I want to get out of it as soon as possible and have my own home where I can curate it with my own vision, where I can build it, with small and bigger memories than thinking that I used to be in a rented space before.
Right.
So a lot of shift has happened in the ideology of youngsters also, and on people, buying home.
What kind of ideas, innovations, or shifts, whether in housing formats or urban planning or consumer needs, do you think will define the next phase of real estate?
Interesting question. I think, as I already mentioned, a lot of new developments has to be and have to be very customer centric, thinking about what they need. Right now, fitness and wellness is one of the key topics we talk about. You need to provide people with smart automations. You need to provide people with multiple layers of security in a gated community where they feel safe to live in, where their kids can roam freely without the fear that a car will come and might hit you, right? Where they can, they don't have to go much far away to have their gym sessions, have their tennis sessions, cricket sessions, and it is all in the same compound, right? Also, I think the new trend is not living in isolated spaces, but living with people, who you can call your neighbors, right? So I think in a gated community or a community living, that problem is solved. We all are people who have a social hunger, we cannot live in isolation. So I think the new trend is living in spaces where different people come together, you sit down for events, you celebrate together, you eat together. So these are the key shifts that I believe is happening around this. And more to add, regarding tech innovations, the entire process from obtaining an approval to actually servicing a product to the customer has been automized, right? Now there are digitalized approvals, there are visual site visits, virtual site visits, so to say, AI-driven CRM activities, AI-generated marketing that is happening, right? So right now we are sitting on such strong frameworks of tech, as the nation itself, as a global outlook also, that the customer also expects that out of you. So if we do not, if anyone does not right now converge into tech-driven formats, I think tech-driven sales, tech-driven marketing, tech-driven community living applications, I think they'll be left behind. So these are the 4 trends that are, changing everything.
Finally, as Signature Global continues to grow and grow exponentially, what type of legacy or long-term impact do you hope that it leaves behind as it keeps growing?
Thank you for this question, but came a little late. Growing up, as an individual, I've always looked up to my parents, my grandparents, and tried to learn from their values. One of the key values, I think, has always been integrity, trust, and transparency. So we as individuals who have, able to form the company, been a part of it, me personally as a second generation promoter here, want to carry the legacy of, most importantly, integrity and transparency. From very start, when Signature Global was born in 2014, one right approach was to actually deliver homes for which the customer has entrusted us. So I think that has become a fundamental value and a non-negotiable, intrinsic value. So this is one of the legacy I think me or other second generation promoters that we are in the company want to carry, because that is the foundation of this organization. Moreover, with changing trends, we want to be customer centric. We want to always have a listening, ear for what the customer is saying, what they actually need. If so, there are complaints, if there are so grievances, we don't want to shy away from hearing those problems, rather than working on mechanisms to improve it, to solve it. When it comes to investors and stakeholders, shareholders, we want to actually give them the right return on investments in every form, with which they envisioned when they invested in our company, to the vendors that are working with us. We believe the payment should have been happening yesterday. This is the kind of model we operate with, because they have worked on with us on multiple projects, and when I sit with them and hear them out, they appreciate us for giving us payments in the due course. The outside world has become so negligent about vendors and the suppliers, that getting payment in due course is a reward for them. So we believe that giving the stakeholders the right benefit in due course, creating value homes for them, fulfilling their life goals and aspirations, having a community where a kid can be proud to say that I was a part of a signature global home. Right? I had my childhood where I became a cricket player, a tennis player, a bodybuilder, a CA, a CFA, a lawyer, because I had all the amenities and facilities, all the right support from the people who have built this building and helped him live into it. So we want to be that continuous support to them. We just don't want to deliver and run away. We want to owe to our brand. So it's not just a legacy, I think. It's also a responsibility that we want to work with. We have, second generation promoter. We've got all of these from our parents, right? Where they also have entrusted us that this entire, empire will be taken ahead through us. If we become such leaders who do not hear, do not work around, do not work for people who are giving us what they have, through emotions, through love, through happiness, through financial security, then we are doing something which is not right. So the kind of impact I believe that Signature Global wishes to leave is having spaces which are actually livable spaces, which are actual aspirational homes, but at prices which do not hurt your pockets. So we are going towards the journey, and with new transformational thinking regarding green spaces, community living for everyone, and having sustainable homes which are beyond labels, as you asked, which are not just tokens for us to carry and brand about or market about, but which actually comes from people as testimonials, saying that I live in a space where the AQI is good enough for me to breathe. So those testimonials, those testimony are our actual win. We work towards this. We work towards emotions and happiness. We work towards families. So presently we are, a family of 30,000 plus members, and we wish this turns into millions and millions of people who are proud to label them as Signature Global proud owners. So this is our vision, this is our legacy that we want to carry.
Thank you very much, Nikhil, for being with us today. It was a pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure, Saras. Thank you.
Thank you, Nikhil, for sharing such sharp and strategic insights with us today. Your unique approach, combining fiscal responsibility with forward-looking business vision, is a strong example of how modern leadership can redefine legacy industries like real estate. Well, that's all for today's episode of the HT Brand Leadership Series. Stay tuned as we continue our journey into the minds of India's most influential industry leaders.